Welcome to Doctorates of the Absurd, your provider of belief on demand.
Today, we are not just, reading a text. We are performing an autopsy on the modern soul.
An autopsy, I like that.
And frankly, the patient is not looking too good.
That is right. And just a heads up to everyone listening right out of the gate, this is not your typical literary book club.
Not at all.
We aren't here to discuss plot points or, whether the characters are likable.
Or who should play them in the Netflix adaptation.
Exactly. We are here to dismantle the engine of why it is so exhausting to simply be a person.
Precisely. We are conducting a forensic analysis of a very specific, and I mean a very dense piece of theory. It's Lauren Berlant's critique of Mary Gaitskill's novel, Two Girls, Fat and Thin.
And when I say dense, I mean this text is like a neutron star. It is heavy. It creates its own gravity well.
It really does.
But our mission today, our whole goal, is to transmute this academic theory into a survival guide. Because let's be honest, the vibe right now, it's exhaustion. Everyone is tired.
It is a specific kind of tiredness, though, and I think that's really important to name. It isn't just physical fatigue. It isn't just, I need a nap.
No.
It is the exhaustion of maintaining a personality, the exhaustion of trying to have a good life when the very definition of a good life feels like a trap.
A trap that you built for yourself. So let's lay out the roadmap for this deep dive. We have 4 quadrants to get through.
And we're going to take our time with each one.
We have to, because if we rush, we miss the medicine. So first, we're going to look at the existential friction, the why now. Why does this text matter right this second?
Then we move to the conceptual blueprint. This is the logic of how we survive trauma, how the machine actually works.
Third is the lexicon of the absurd. We are giving you new vocabulary, new tools to describe your own life.
And finally, the intellectual aftershock. We want to leave you with something that changes how you walk into your office or your kitchen next Monday. Something that sticks.
Let's jump straight into the friction then. The text opens with a quote that it hits like a sledgehammer. History is what hurts.
History is what hurts. It's a phrase borrowed from Frederick Jameson, but Berlant uses it to mean something very, very specific here.
Okay.
The friction point, the real rub, isn't just that bad things happen to you. It is the exhaustion of having to maintain a continuous, coherent identity in response to those things.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because usually when we think about trauma or a hard life, we think about the event itself.
The incident.
The car crash, the bad breakup, the childhood abuse. You point to a moment in time. But Berlant is saying the pain isn't just the event.
No, the pain is the aftermath. It's the constant grinding requirement that you, as a subject, must make sense of it. You have to wake up every day and be you. You have to weave that trauma into a story that makes sense to your friends, to your therapist, to your boss.
It's the admin of your own suffering.
That's it. It's the administrative burden of being a person. That is the friction. The effort it takes to hold yourself together in a shape that the world recognizes as a person.
It's the keep calm and carry on mentality, but weaponized against yourself.
Exactly. And the text points out this deeply uncomfortable realization.
Yeah.
Most of us believe that repairing ourselves means becoming normal.
Of course, that's the goal, isn't it? To get better.
But what is better? We have this idea of health. And we think health means being productive, having a balanced relationship, having a 401k, being over it.
Right.
But Berlant suggests that this version of health might just be another form of narcissism, or what she calls a smothering will.
Whoa, pause there. Smothering will. That sounds dangerous. If I tell you, our listener, that trying to be healthy is narcissism, aren't we just giving you a pass to self-destruct?
It sounds like that on the surface.
So how does Berlant distinguish between a smothering will and just having good habits? Because I'm not buying that eating a salad or going to therapy is an act of violence against the soul.
That is a fair pushback, and a really important one. Berlant isn't saying don't take care of yourself. Not at all. She is critiquing the performance of health.
The performance.
Yes. When health becomes a mandate to erase your history, to erase your weirdness, to erase the very things that actually helped you survive in the first place, that is when it becomes smothering. It's when health starts to look a lot like conformity.
Okay, so it's about the intention, the why. Is the goal to actually feel better, or is the goal to look like a good citizen to the rest of the world?
Precisely. If health demands that you suppress your survival mechanisms because they look weird or unproductive or unhealthy to an outside observer, then yes, it is smothering you. And this brings us right to one of the core concepts of the entire deep dive: stupid optimism.
I have to say, I love this phrase, Stupid optimism. It sounds like an insult you'd hear on a playground, but it's actually a technical term in this context.
It is.
But again, let's play devil's advocate here. Is Berlant calling us idiots for having hope? Because if you take away optimism, what do we have left? Just nihilism.
Not at all. And that's the key. She isn't calling people stupid. She is describing a structural glitch in our attachment to things.
A glitch. Okay.
Think of it this way. Stupid optimism is the faith that if we just adjust ourselves to conventional forms, if we just lose the weight, get the degree, find the spouse, then we will be secure. We will be happy.
It's the belief that the system works, even when the system is clearly breaking your legs.
Correct. Let's really dig into the stupid part of stupid optimism, because it's not an insult. Think about the good life fantasy. You get the degree, you get the job, you get the mortgage.
Yeah.
But what happens when that job is burning you out? When the mortgage becomes a shackle?
How do you keep going?
You keep going. Berlant argues the stupidity is the loyalty to the fantasy, even after it starts hurting you.
It's like wearing a pair of shoes that are 2 sizes too small because you were told they make you look professional. You're limping, your feet are bleeding, but you refuse to take them off because this is what professional looks like.
That's a perfect analogy.
That refusal to take off the shoes, that is the stupidity of the optimism.
That's it. The friction arises when these forms, marriage, career, normalcy, fail us. They don't make us happy. Often they make us miserable, yet we keep returning to them. We keep trying to squeeze ourselves back into them.
Which leads us to the antagonist of our story. In this deep dive, the villain isn't a person.
Right.
It's a mentality. It's the case study mindset.
This is crucial to get your head around. The novel, two girls, fat and thin features, well, two girls, Dorothy Never, who is fat, and Justine Shade, who is thin. Both were abused, and the default setting of society is to look at them as cases to be solved.
Right. We look at the fat girl and we think, what happened to her? Why does she eat like that? She's broken.
Let's fix her.
And we look at the thin, neurotic girl and think, she has issues. She needs to be fixed. We immediately pathologize them.
That is the hermeneutics of suspicion. That is the villain.
Oh, pause there. Hermeneutics of suspicion. That sounds like a Robert Ludlum novel or some obscure Da Vinci Code sequel. Break that down for us. We're talking about a detective mindset, right?
That's a great way to put it.
Like, if I look at you, I'm not just seeing a person. I'm looking for the crime scene. I'm looking for what's wrong.
Exactly. Hermeneutics just means a method of interpretation, a way of reading. The hermeneutics of suspicion is the habit of reading a text or a person while assuming there's a hidden lie. It's looking for the flaw, the failure, the trauma.
The secret.
Yes. And Berlant is saying that we have been trained by Freud, by pop psychology, by Twitter, you name it, to look at every human behavior as a symptom of some hidden rot. And that mindset, that's the enemy.
So instead of looking at Dorothy eating a bag of Oreos and thinking symptom of trauma or lack of willpower, what should we be thinking?
Right.
Because that is the automatic response for like 99% of people.
We should see it as a creative strategy for survival.
A strategy.
A strategy. Berlant argues that Dorothy and Justine are not broken toys. They are lead architects of their own survival. The weird, the strange, the potentially toxic things they do, overeating, SM, joining cults, these aren't just mistakes. They are tools they are using to stay alive.
That is a massive shift in perspective. It stops asking what is wrong with you and starts asking, what is this behavior doing for you?
Exactly. And the stakes here are incredibly high. If you don't make this shift, if you keep viewing yourself and others as broken things that need to be fixed into normalcy, you risk your sanity. You really do.
The text uses this terrifying imagery of a starving lab animal.
Yes, it's a haunting image, and it's central to this whole idea. Imagine a lab rat in an experiment. It presses a button, and it gets food.
Yeah.
It's happy. Its world makes sense.
Okay. Simple cause and effect.
Then the experiment changes. The rules change without warning. It presses the button, and now it gets an electric shock.
But the rat keeps pressing the button.
It keeps pressing it. Why? Not because it's stupid, not because it likes pain, but because pressing the button is what it knows how to do. It's the only form of agency it has. It's the only way it knows to prove it is still a participant in its own life.
That is devastating and deeply, deeply relatable. We are the rat.
We are the rat.
We keep pressing the button of trying to be normal or dating the same type of person or working the burnout job, and we keep getting shocked every single time.
We do it because the alternative, stepping away from the button, completely feels like death. Without that attachment, even if it's a cruel attachment, we feel formless. We feel like we don't exist. That is the cost of the soul.
So if we don't understand that our bad habits are actually these broken strategies for keeping us together,
We will just keep shocking ourselves until we die.
okay, that is heavy. But it's the perfect transition to our second quadrant, the conceptual blueprint. We need to understand the logic. How do we get out of the cage, or at least how do we understand the cage we're in?
And the logic here, the pivot point, it all hinges on one major concept: impersonality.
Impersonality. Now, this seems completely counterintuitive. Everywhere I look, social media, therapy, self-help books, everyone is screaming, be authentic, be vulnerable, be personal.
It's the dominant ideology.
If I go on LinkedIn right now, there are 5 CEOs crying about their morning routines. Vulnerability is the currency of the realm.
And Berlant says, maybe don't. Maybe that is dangerous advice. The text argues for the value of impersonality as a superpower.
Okay, so what does impersonality look like in practice? It's not just being cold and robotic, right? It's not being a sociopath.
No, it's not about being unfeeling. It is about creating a shield,
Yeah.
a holding environment. Think of it as a spacesuit.
A spacesuit. I like that.
You want to walk on the surface of a hostile planet, which, let's be real, is what modern life often feels like. You can't just walk out there naked and authentic. You will burn up. You need a layer between you and the world's radiation. That layer is impersonality.
Let's look at Dorothy, the fat girl in the novel. How does she use impersonality? What's her spacesuit made of?
She uses her body fat and her intellectualism. They are her tools. The text describes her fat not just as tissue, but as a square of definition, a force field.
I want to focus on this idea of fat as a force field, because anyone who has ever worn huge headphones on the subway effectively does the same thing, right?
Yes.
You are signaling, I am here, but I am closed for business.
Exactly. But for Dorothy, she can't take the headphones off. The square of definition is her body. By being visibly different, by being ugly by societal standards, she creates a permanent barrier.
Which is tragic on one level, but also functional.
In a dark way, yes.
Yeah.
It is functional. It filters out the people she doesn't want to talk to anyway. It effectively neutralizes the world's demand on her. If people are repulsed or dismissive, they leave her alone.
So she gets to be in the world, but not of it.
Precisely. It allows her to hoard her inner life. She doesn't have to share her true self with people who would just consume it or judge it. Her fat becomes a technology of privacy.
A technology of privacy. Wow, and what about Justine? She's the opposite. Physically, she's thin, attractive in a sharp, conventional way.
On the surface, she passes. She fits the mold better.
So what's her shield?
Justine uses methodical reserve. She uses stark beauty. She performs normalcy so well that no one looks too closely. Her impersonality is a mask of competence. She looks like she has it all together, so no one probes too deep into the chaos underneath.
This reminds me of that feeling when you are at a party, or better yet, a high-stakes corporate meeting, and you are performing social human.
Yes, we've all been there.
You are smiling, nodding, making small talk about the weather or the quarterly projections, but inside, you are 1,000 miles away. You are thinking about your grocery list or a song lyric or a childhood memory.
That performance, that isn't just being fake. That's a shield. That is a holding environment. Think about the last time you had to smile at a boss who was driving you crazy.
Yeah.
You weren't being authentic in that moment. If you were authentic, you'd be screaming or quitting. You were being impersonal. You were using a mask to keep your job and your sanity. And Berlant is saying, good job. Keep the mask. The mask is keeping you safe.
So don't let Instagram convince you that you need to be vulnerable with everyone, everywhere, all the time.
Because that's a recipe for burnout. Or worse.
So the governing law of this universe, if we're treating this philosophy like a physics engine, is what the text calls the unthought known.
This is a concept from the psychoanalyst Christopher Bolas. And it's so powerful. The rule is this. We are driven by an intelligence we haven't caught up to yet.
I love the quote for this. It's not just, hey you, but wait up.
Right. We usually think we act based on conscious decisions. I am hungry, I will eat. I am sad, I will cry. But the unthought known suggests that our bodies and our survival instincts are miles ahead of our conscious brains.
There's a lag.
A huge lag. Trauma and desire create this gap between what we do and why we understand we're doing it. We act out patterns, eating, thinking, sakes, to manage our own incoherence. Our bodies are just trying to keep us stable in that lag time.
And in that lag, we need forms. We need structures to hold us, which is where the novel's use of Anna Granite comes in.
This is where it gets really juicy.
It does, because Anna Granite is clearly a stand-in for Ayn Rand. Dorothy and Justine, these 2 damaged girls, become obsessed with her philosophy. And this is a thing I think we need to really dig into. Why?
It's the central question.
Why would two people who have been crushed by power dynamics, abused, marginalized, ignored, fall in love with a philosophy that celebrates selfishness and absolute power? Why would the victim worship the philosophy of the bully?
Because of the anagranid engine. It works because it offers a physics where selfishness is honor and destructiveness is beauty.
It reframes their entire experience.
Think about it from Dorothy's perspective. She feels rage. She feels separate from everyone else. The normal world, the world of nice people, tells her those feelings are bad, that she's a monster for hating people.
That something is wrong with her.
Right. Then anagranid comes along and tells her, no, your separation is proof of your superiority. Your rage isn't a defect. It is a sign of your greatness. You are an individual standing against the mob.
Oh, that is seductive. That is so seductive. It takes your deepest insecurity, I am alone and angry, and turns it into a superpower.
It's a total inversion.
I'm not lonely. I am an objectivist hero.
Exactly. It offers a beautiful form for their damage.
Yeah.
It validates their ruthlessness as beauty rather than monstrosity. For a powerless person, the fantasy of absolute power, of not needing anyone, is the ultimate drug.
It's a glitch in the system, though. It's a beautiful lie. It appeals to them not because it is objectively true, but because it is aesthetically useful. It allows them to survive their own feelings.
But the system crashes. It has to.
It always does, because the beautiful idea eventually has to meet reality. In the book, Dorothy eventually meets the real anagranid, and she isn't this philosophical titan.
Not even close. She's just a petty, jealous woman. She's small.
That is the tragedy of the idea. It works as a shield until you get too close to the source. The anagranid philosophy was a holding environment. It held Dorothy together when she had nothing else.
But when the person behind the philosophy turns out to be just another flawed, petty, small human being,
The holding environment collapses, and that failure forces them to find new strategies. Which brings us to the vocabulary we need to understand those strategies, the lexicon of the absurd.
right? We need to equip our listeners with some tools here. We have been throwing around some big words, but we need the street-level translation.
Yes, the bar argument definition.
The first one we mentioned earlier, reparative reading.
Okay, we touched on this with the detective analogy, but let's go deeper. Street-level translation. Stop trying to gotcha everything you love.
We all do this. We are trained to be critical, to watch a movie and find the plot holes, to listen to a friend and find the inconsistency in their story, to look at our own lives and find the hypocrisy. That is paranoid reading.
It's the mode of the Twitter thread. It's the mode of the takedown piece. Here is why this thing you like is actually problematic. It's exhausting.
It's deeply exhausting. Reparative reading, a concept from Sedgwick, says, stop tearing things apart to find the enemy. Instead, look for what makes you feel alive. Look for the sustenance. Even if the thing you love is problematic, even if it's trashy, even if it's weird.
The text has this lightning stroke of a quote. The luck of encountering her grandiosity is of unsurpassable consequence.
Berlant is talking about Sedgwick there. And what it means is that encountering someone who believes in the power of attachment, who believes that loving things, even flawed things, is good, is life-changing.
It changes you from a detective into a survivor.
It allows you to say, yes, this reality TV show is garbage, but it helps me turn my brain off after a 60-hour work week, so I'm going to love it without shame.
That is liberation. Okay, term number 2, a poetics of misrecognition.
Street-level translation. Delusion isn't a mistake, it is a survival tactic.
Wait, so we are endorsing delusion now? Because usually we tell people to face reality. That's the whole point of, growing up.
We are acknowledging its function. It's not about endorsing lies. It's about understanding why we tell them to ourselves. The quote is, to misrecognize is not to err, but to project qualities onto something so that we can love, hate, and manipulate it.
So when Dorothy looks at anagranid and sees a goddess instead of a petty writer, she isn't just being stupid or naive.
Not at all.
She is projecting what she needs onto what is there.
Precisely. If she saw the reality from the start, she might fall into despair. By misrecognizing, she creates a world she can live in. Fantasy manages the messiness of attachment. It makes her own life appear intelligible to herself.
It's like putting a filter on a photo. It might not be true pixel for pixel, but it makes the image something you can stand to look at. If we saw the raw data of our lives, the randomness, the cruelty, the indifference of the universe, we might not be able to get out of bed.
Misrecognition is the story we tell ourselves so we can function. And our final term, composure.
Street-level translation. Looking like you have your shit together is just a way of hiding the chaos. But that hiding is also a form of art.
Composure is the formalist protector of fantasy. That's the lightning strike quote.
The text references the psychoanalyst Adam Phillips here, the precociously mind-oriented child, the kid who uses their brain as a better mother.
This is for all the listeners out there who are the smart kid in school,
Mm-hmm.
the kid who retreated into books or logic because their emotional environment was unstable.
You're calling me out.
Me too.
Hmm.
Thinking became a place to hide. That composure, that calm intellectual exterior, is a fortress. It guards the soft, chaotic center.
It validates that being smart wasn't just about grades. It was about safety. If I can outthink you, you can't hurt me.
Exactly. And this leads us perfectly into the mechanics of the absurd. The text outlines 3 specific pleasures that fuel this entire machinery: food, smarts, and sex.
And we need to really slow down here because Berlant treats these as a set. They're all technologies for stopping time.
Let's start with food, because the way the text describes eating is visceral. It is not foodie culture. It is not farm to table.
Not at all. It's almost anti-foodie.
It is grotesque. And that is important. For Dorothy, eating isn't just about hunger. It creates a lateral, endless present.
Lateral, endless present. What does that mean?
It means it stops the forward momentum of history. When you are eating, really eating in the way Dorothy does, you aren't worrying about the past or the future. You are just in the sensation. It fills the emptiness, literally.
I want to read some of the items from the menu in this book because they are aggressive. We are talking about a bag of cashews, a bag of marzipan, mucousy eggs, lurid red spare ribs, unknobbled jawbreakers.
Notice the adjectives. Mucousy.
Yeah.
Unknobble. It's not about deliciousness. It's about resistance. It's about texture and occupation.
Mucousy eggs. I mean, that makes me want to gag just saying it. But you're saying the grossness is the point.
The grossness creates a sensation that occupies the entire body. It's about stuffing yourself so full that there is no room for feelings. It is a counter-traumatic activity. It walls off the trauma with pure physical sensation.
It's numb-out mode, but with flavor. Or, in this case, texture.
And think about the unknobble jawbreaker. It is a candy that fights back. It occupies your mouth for hours. It gives you a task, a job,
Or purpose.
a purpose. I am eating this candy. As long as I'm eating this candy, I am not being abused. I am not lonely. I am just a machine processing sugar.
This connects directly to the listener's experience of doom scrolling or binge watching, right?
Yeah.
You aren't really watching the show. You are just letting the colors and sounds wash over you to stop your brain from running on its own terrible hamster wheel.
Exactly. It is consumption as anesthesia.
Yeah.
Then you have the second pleasure, smarts. Or, as the text puts it, history is what smarts.
I love this double entendre. Smart means intelligent, but it also means to hurt, like a slap smarts.
Exactly. For Dorothy and Justine, thinking is aggression. They use their intellects to judge others, to analyze, to dissect everything and everyone around them.
It's a hyper-vigilant defense. If I am smarter than you, if I can analyze you, you can't hurt me. If I can reduce you to a data point, I win.
But the trap is, thinking keeps them close to the trauma. They munch the storied scenery of memory.
Ugh, what a phrase.
They are constantly chewing on their own pain, analyzing it, intellectualizing it. It feels like control, but it's actually just another way of staying stuck in the loop.
So, just like Dorothy chews the jawbreaker, she chews her own memories. She processes them over and over again, thinking she is solving them, but she's really just keeping the wound open and raw.
Correct. Intellectualism becomes a form of rumination. It pretends to be progress, but it is actually stasis. And finally, sex.
Sex is the most dangerous one because it involves other people. It threatens composure, but it also paradoxically offers a holding environment.
For Justine, this manifests as SM. And Berlant analyzes this very carefully. This isn't just about kink for the sake of it. For Justine, SM is impersonal. It has rules, it has a script, it's a formalism.
It allows her to lose control, but in a completely controlled way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Regular intimacy, vanilla intimacy, is terrifying because it's unpredictable. It involves feelings, vulnerability, the potential for rejection. SM has boundaries. It has a safe word. It allows her to experience overwhelming intensity without the risk of emotional chaos.
It turns pain into a game with rules. And rules are safe. Chaos is not.
And for Dorothy, it's the romance novel.
The definitist romance. She views sex through prose.
She dissociates into the language of romance, rivulets of liquid gold, heaving bosoms. When the reality of a sexual encounter doesn't match the heightened prose of the book, she checks out. She prefers the description of sex to the act of sex.
Because the description is perfect. The description is safe. The reality is sweaty and awkward and potentially hurtful.
All three of these, food, smart, sex, are ways of managing the unthought known. They are ways of handling the fact that we are alive and hurting, and our brains haven't caught up yet.
There are the buttons the lab rat presses.
Yeah.
They provide a shock or a distraction or a momentary relief. But they are, as you said, the architectural blueprints of survival.
They keep the subject intact. They prevent total disintegration.
This brings us to the final quadrant, the intellectual aftershock. We need to land this plane. We need to visualize what this actually means for you, the listener.
I want you to imagine a hallucination. I want you to look at a human life, your life, not as a story, not as a timeline of born, school, job, death.
Okay, I'm visualizing. I'm trying to delete the timeline. It's hard. What do I see instead?
You see an infrared camera view. You see heat maps.
Like in the movie Predator.
Exactly like Predator. You don't see the story. You see moments of negative density. You see these glowing red blobs of intense heat.
And what are the blobs? What's generating the heat?
They are the moments you stop time. The moment you ate the entire cake. The moment you read the book for 6 hours straight. The moment you got tied up. The moment you completely dissociated in a meeting. Those are the hot spots.
So optimism isn't a straight line forward. It's these glowing red blobs of stopping time.
Yes. We survive the pain of history by stopping it. By creating these little pockets of intensity where we don't have to be us for a minute. Those blobs are where the survival happens, not in the career milestones, but in the moments of escape.
That completely reframes bad habits. It turns them from moral failures into structural supports.
It does. And here are the 3 viral hooks. The things I want you, the listener, to really hear and take with you into your week.
Hit me with hook number 1.
Your bad habits aren't failures. They are the architectural blueprint of your survival.
Yeah.
You are eating that cake to stop time, not because you're hungry.
That is profound. It removes the shame. It adds function. It tells you that your body is trying to save you, even if it's doing it in a weird way. Hook number 2.
Stop trying to be authentic. Your fake, impersonal shield is the only thing protecting your optimism from a world that wants to eat you alive.
Oof. That is going to ruffle some feathers. We love authenticity. But maybe we need armor more. Maybe the armor is what allows us to keep going.
Maybe the armor is the authenticity of a survivor.
And hook number 3.
You are the lab rat. You are pressing the shock button. And you're doing it because it's the only way you know how to prove you're still alive.
That is the one that keeps me up at night. The exhaustion of the will. The desperate need to just do something, anything, to prove you exist. Which brings us to the coda. The end of the novel.
The ending is fascinating. Yeah. And we really need to set the scene here. Justine is tied to a bed, wounded, after a bad scene with a man. It's a moment of total vulnerability and failure.
Rock bottom.
Total rock bottom. And Dorothy rescues her. She beats up the guy. And then they just fall asleep together.
Now, the text makes a huge point of this. This is not a lesbian romance ending.
No. It's not, and then they fell in love. It is not a happily ever after. It isn't a resolution of their trauma. It's not a neat bow.
So what is it? If it's not a happy ending, what is it?
It is exhaustion.
Exhaustion? That sounds bleak. That sounds like a downer ending.
It sounds bleak, but in the context of this book, it is a triumph. They finally stop monitoring. They stop trying to be definitist or smart or good.
Yeah.
They stop performing.
They stop pressing the button.
They step away from the button. They enter a restful simplicity.
They are disburdened of the weight of bearing themselves.
That is the payoff. Think about how heavy it is to be you all day, to maintain your personality, to maintain your defenses, to monitor your environment. At the end of the book, they just put that weight down.
That feels like the ultimate luxury, to just stop the performance, to just sleep.
It is. And it leaves us with this parting shot, a quote from the text that I think says it all. The pain of paying attention pays me back in the form of eloquence. A sound pleasure.
A sound pleasure. That is a beautiful phrase.
And this is the final provocation for you. What if you stopped trying to fix your trauma? What if you stopped trying to solve the puzzle of what is wrong with me?
And instead, what do you do?
What if you just allowed yourself the sound pleasure of witnessing it, of just noticing it without judgment? What if the goal isn't to be cured, but to be teachable?
To be teachable. To let the world change you instead of constantly fighting to maintain your shape against it.
Precisely. That is the only real optimism. Not the stupid optimism of everything will be fine if I follow the rules, but the optimism of I am here, I am broken, and I am open to what comes next.
That is A relief. It really is. It feels like taking off a tight backpack after a very, very long hike.
It takes the pressure off. You don't have to win. You don't have to be healthy. You just have to survive the history that hurts.
So we have gone from the friction of personality to the relief of impersonality. We have turned the bad habits into survival strategies. We have realized that our stupid optimism is just us trying to keep walking in shoes that don't fit.
And we have found a little bit of rest in the exhaustion.
A successful autopsy, I would say. The patient is still dead, but at least we know why.
And maybe, just maybe, understanding why helps us live a little bit better. To the learner listening, thank you for undergoing the procedure.
We hope the stitches hold.
This has been Dr. It's of the Absurd.
The bliss.